drops in spring, heralding us to the entry of Beauly Priory. Beauly Priory was occupied by monks from Dijon in France and was built in 1292 on a warrant from King Alexander II. This is the very picturesque square of the village of Beauly, so named by Mary Queen of Scots when she visited Beauly, beautiful place. This is a not so beautiful 1,000-year-old tree on the entrance to the graveyard. Been there a very long time, even longer than the monks. Many of the Fraser clan and the Mackenzie clan are buried within the grounds here, and the Priory was the earliest place of the burials of the Mackenzies and the Frasers. In the case of the Frasers, they built Wardlaw for the high chiefs, but the older chiefs are actually buried at the head of the Priory in the distance there. The ones nearest the altar are the tombs of the Mackenzie chiefs and the Fraser chiefs. The abbey was destroyed by Oliver Cromwell, who took the stones from the abbey to Inverness to build his fortress, his citadel at the mouth of the River Ness. 8 barges of stone in total were removed from the Priory and shipped at a cost of £1,000 per barge to Inverness. Other edifices in the Black Isle, like Fortrose Cathedral, were equally savaged by Cromwell. The tomb that we're coming up to with the ironwork there is actually the Fraser and Mackenzie catacomb, and there's a very fine alabaster sarcophagus there of one of the Mackenzie chiefs. The first one was buried in 1491. I think the alabaster sarcophagus is probably a newer burial than Kenneth Mackenzie in question. The Mackenzies, of course, were great explorers in the Northwest Passage. Alexander Mackenzie returned to Fortrose in the Black Isle, where he's buried. And the Fraser River is in Canada is named in memory of the Fraser who explored it. As far as the Outlander connection is concerned, the chapel where these sarcophagus are features in the book. In Outlander, this is where Jamie lay, wounded after Culloden. And in the framework of the chapel, he was visited, and Clare took counsel from the Gaelic seer, the lady who prophesied that their future lay in distant shores. And indeed, in the book, it's from here that they left. This is the chapel in real life. In the film, it's a wee bit more comfortable, but this is the actual place where they would have left to go to France. And indeed, the 3-masted schooner, which features in the film, lies in the bay beyond the river, which we see a glimpse of over the wall here. It's the River Beauly leading into the river, the Murray Firth. So an important part of the Fraser Mackenzie heritage, and a must for us to visit in our tour.
You know, the Black Isle is famous for the richness of the soil, and because of the quality of the barley, the setup of maltings and the malt for a lot of the other Diageo distilleries is a separate venture to the distillery, which was established in 1838. And these warehouses have earthen floors, there's no air conditioning, 2-foot thick walls and earthen floors. Gets the job done. These are this copper stills, each costing £60,000 if they have to be replaced.
Wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? I will range through the woods and the wild glens of Priory, and return wi' my spoils to the bower, oh my dearie. Will you go, lassie, go?
So we're standing beside the van, right, almost on the top of Knockfarrel Hill, which is actually the scene of an Iron Age fort. Doesn't particularly look like a fort nowadays because it was destroyed by fire, and the rock is actually vitrified rock. But if you, as you'll see in a moment, if you sweep round, it's an ideal site, looking in both directions, to be a defensive, strategic place. And today it affords beautiful views across the villages of Strathpeffer and Dingwall, and right in the middle here is where we'll be going next. Right set in the trees there is Castle Leod, L-E-O-D, which from the Outlander point of view, Diana Gabaldon chose to call Mackenzie Castle Leoch, but it's undoubtedly based on the real life castle, which is this one. It's the home of John, Earl of Cromarty, and his wife, and we'll be driving up the drive in a wee while to tell you a bit more about it. And the beautiful alpine style village of Strathpeffer lies just a couple of miles away. The hills beyond are the hills of Wester Ross, and the near hill here is Ben Nevis, not to be confused with Ben Nevis, but beautiful Glen.
Wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? I will range through the woods and the wild glens of Priory, and return wi' my spoils to the bower, oh my dearie. Will you go, lassie, go?
So here we are at Castle Leod, L-E-O-D, and for Outlander purposes, the Mackenzie stronghold, the filming was actually done at Doon Castle near Stirling, which also features in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and also in Game of Thrones. But this is the actual home of Clan Mackenzie and the chief John, Earl of Cromarty, and his missus. And the castle is still lived in. On, I think it's 14 days of the year, the Earl will do a conducted tour himself, and that's a really thrilling adventure. So have a look at the Castle Leod website and try and, if you can, arrive here on one of those days. If not, we have an arrangement that you can have your photograph taken in front of the castle there, and you might be lucky to get a glimpse of Lord or Lady Mackenzie. but these are the hereditary chiefs of the clan. And Lord Mackenzie was actually a geologist, so we're about to take a meander through the trail here of some of the trees, which are all labelled, and towards the end of the walk there's one planted by Diana Gabaldon, who's actually a trustee of the castle here and comes here periodically to visit the Mackenzies. 500 years of history. Castle was actually looted by the British Army, but the local villagers in Strathpeffer knew they were coming, so they managed to get into the castle and remove some of the artefacts and paintings before the British Army arrived. But the clan chiefs, of course, were those who supported the Jacobite cause were outlawed for quite a period of time. So that's Castle Leowd, and that's the real McCoy, or the real Mackay, as we would say. So we finished the day in the county town of Dingwall, and on the hill above Dingwall stands this 100-foot tower in memory of Major General Sir Hector McDonald, who hailed from this area. Hector worked as a boy in the draper's shop in Beauly as a clerk. 14 years of age, he joined the Gordon Highlanders. Most unusually for the time, he was to aspire to the rank of Lieutenant General, to Major General. Indeed, on valour, he was offered 2 Victoria Crosses, which is most unusual. Victoria Crosses are usually awarded posthumously because the scale of the valour is such that they usually kill themselves in the process. Not so with the Major. He chose to accept promotion rather than military honours, and he's remembered on the labels of Camp Coffee, which was a chicory essence produced during the wars. And interestingly, the modern version has his Sikh attendant sitting with him drinking coffee, whereas the earlier version, of course, he was being served on a tray. Hector was finally despised by his fellow officers for his success. A working man was never meant to reach these dizzy heights. He was accused of homosexuality on his way to a court-martial. He's believed to have committed suicide and shot himself in a Paris hotel room. More recently, it's believed that he was murdered because his accusations would have been in common with his fellow officers in India. Rightly or wrongly, it hasn't, it would have been a stain on his memory, but not so for his native Dingwall. We finish looking at the Highland drover who used to take cattle all the way to Perth, Stirling and Falkirk to sell over 100 miles away. Quite a considerable feat. Nowadays, of course, the Dingwall auction mart gives way to the centre of the town where the Tesco supermarket stands. The Tesco's paid for the new mart, and this is a monument to the memory of the drovers with their faithful collie. So, welcome to Scotland, and when you're coming, your welcome will be warm, and we look forward to seeing you.